Figure it out.
Hello, this is Adam Koralik with Figure It Out Productions. The following video is part of our Quick Shoot series. Hey guys, it's Adam here, and as I'm sure you've heard by now, if you've been watching the videos lately, I recently took a trip out to Seattle, Washington for PAX Prime. My last day there, which was August 31st, I believe, I met up with a guy named Duffy. He contacted me last year saying, hey, you know, Seattle, you want to, next time you come there, if you want to go do some game hunting, I'd love to do that. And I was like, all right. And then fast forward a year, he offered it again, and I said, all right, let's do it. So we hit up Game Gurus after we went to a couple of other places called Another Castle, which I already did a video on. So Game Gurus, once you get inside, you can see it's got a bunch of stuff set up. Now, one thing that they do that's pretty cool, and you'll see more of it later, is they do reproduction SNES cards, but I'll go into that in a bit. But inside, they have their own like drinks, and they have games set up, and then they have these bins. This was really awesome. It's like kind of a throwback idea. You know, bins full of games you just dig through and see if you can find it. And a lot of the stuff there was surprisingly cheap. It's a complete, you know, mishmash of random games. You don't know what you're going to find. And of course, on this side, you got, you know, like various controllers and all sorts of, you know, there's some PSP stuff like UMD movies and stuff. Again, more of these bins. I love bins like this because, like, it's organized, but at the same time, you like kind of don't know what you're gonna find because a lot of this stuff clearly has been there for a while. So some of that stuff is, you know, super cheap or hasn't been adjusted, etc., which is really, really cool. Like Guitar Hero stuff, lots of Xbox 360 stuff there on the wall. More controllers and accessories. I mentioned this before, but Microsoft and Nintendo are both based in Seattle, or at least Nintendo's America headquarters is based in Seattle. So a lot of that stuff flows into these stores. So like this is their original Xbox section, which is, as you can see, rather impressive. I ended up getting a bunch of stuff out of that you'll see later. Various other things. We got GameCube and Wii U. Big GameCube section, which you don't. I know I said that again early in the Another Castle video, but you just don't see GameCube sections that big that often. At least I know I don't. Again, Xbox stuff, massive amount of it, and all again very cheap because original Xbox stuff is super cheap. So in the glass case here, they of course have your, you know, SNES games, NES games, but this section right here is actually pretty fascinating. What these are reproduction cards. Like people will make, you know, ROMs or hacks. And then these guys will actually put it onto physical cartridges that you can then play on your SNES. So I kind of flipped the camera over here so you guys could see some of the titles. Look at these. They're all games you probably never heard of, except that they're all, you know, because they're fan-made. Or they're, you know, ROM hacks or etc. Like some of them are actually... I think Satellaview games. Look, Sonic the Hedgehog, there's a hack of that out there that got ported. It's like a weird fan-made game that got ported to the SNES, and you could have actually bought a physical cartridge for it. Yeah, so I thought I would focus a little bit more on that so you guys could see that. I've only ever see those repro carts in Seattle stores. I never see them anywhere else. And they have a bunch of stuff. There's that glowing N64 sign. If you saw the Another Castle video, you'd see that. It seems like every store in Seattle has that sign. And here's the store where they told me that that's rare. Like, people will come in all the time. He said, especially people who are high will come in and be like, dude, can I buy that sign? And he can always tell that someone's high if they want to buy the sign. I don't know. That's what he said. It was pretty funny. Big selection of PlayStation 3 games here, as well as some PlayStation 4. Lots of PlayStation 2 stuff here. As you can see, just a giant wall of it, which is pretty common to see giant walls of PlayStation 2. There's the guy who's running the place. Now, what he does here is he's basically he'll take consoles. He goes, like, here's the whole process. He'll get a, well, after I show you these plushies here, because, you know, got to show you plushies. But what he'll do is he'll get all these consoles in, or he'll repair them, and then he'll, like, you know, seal them back up in there, and then he'll put them in that cart, and then they're available for sale. You know, I asked him a little bit about that. He's like, yeah, you know, if a console's broken, I can repair it, or I can mix and match parts, make sure everything's working. Or if people just sell bulk, you know, amounts of units, he just refurbishes them and makes sure that they're all good. Also, this didn't really appeal to me that much, but I'm sure you guys would like to see it. A big board games room in the back. I know it's ironic because I do work on a show called Beer and Board Games, but I'm not the biggest board game fanatic. But around this section, you can see a lot of stuff he's obviously, you know, kind of working on there at the time. Big Skyrim Collector's Edition, which was interesting to see. GameCube kiosk, random new inventory, and then he's also got buried back here is the PlayStation 1 games and the Dreamcast games. And then this glass case here, he's got the the rarer PS1 stuff and the rarer Sega Dreamcast stuff. So yeah, that's kind of buried back there. An Xbox 360 kiosk. Look at the version of the dashboard that it's running. That has not been updated in quite a few years. Halo Edition Xbox down there. TurboGrafx 16. Vader Atari 2600. The bigger, blacker box of Cards Against Humanity. I actually know the guys who make Cards Against Humanity. They're from Chicago. I've worked with them for an episode of Beer and Board Games, like I was just referencing. Various SNES games and all sorts of cool stuff. And yeah, guys, overall just a really cool store, and I'd really like to again thank the owner for letting me film in there. That was very nice of him. So that was Game Gurus. A few years ago when I went to Seattle, there was a second Game Gurus. I don't know if it still exists or not, though. I forgot to ask the owner. But Google had no results for it, so Duffy and I ended up skipping out and even trying to find it. So whatever, but at least this Game Gurus we went to, and I want to show you the pickups I got from it. A lot of it's original Xbox because stuff's cheap and it's common there. And in some of these cases, well, I'll explain as I go, but some of them I've never seen before. Or in this case, Dreamfall: The Longest Journey. See, I've seen this before, but it's usually either really expensive, or it's like missing the manual, or it's beat to shit. The artwork's completely destroyed, it's disc only, etc. I've never seen it like in the good combo, where it's in good condition and the price is right. So in this case it was $10, which is still relatively high for the original Xbox, but not bad considering what I've seen this particular game go for, which is usually in like the $20-30 range. Ghost Recon 2 Summit Strike. This game is not particularly rare or hard to find or anything. It was just very, very cheap, so I picked it up. Xiaolin Showdown. This game's kind of funny because it's based on, I think, a TV show from like 2004. I don't know, I never watched it. But that sounds vaguely familiar. But this game was a little surprising to me because I go original Xbox hunting all the time. So I'm very familiar with the North American library. And this game totally took me out of the blue, or surprised me. It came out of the blue. I did not recognize it at all. I was like, how have I never seen this one before? Because even if you don't care about what some of the games, you'll at least kind of remember they're in the collection somewhere, in the library, I mean. This one I'd never heard of. And the funny thing is, the first time I heard of it was at Another Castle, which was the previous game store I did a video on. I saw it there, and I remember even telling Duffy, like, wow, I can't believe I've never seen this game before. But unfortunately, in their case, it didn't have the manual, so I passed on it. Literally, the next store we went to was Game Gurus, and they had it with the manual. So I was like, all right, awesome. So that was cool. Now, I also got a game called Beatdown, Fists of Vengeance, which is kind of like Dreamfall in that I see it from time to time, but it's usually either expensive or in bad shape, etc. They had it complete, good condition, and cheap, so picked it up. Cold War, which is also like the Shaolin game in that I had never heard of it before, never seen it, but they had multiple copies. It makes me wonder if some original Xbox games were regional inside the US. I doubt they were, but like how it's possible there could be so many on the West Coast I've never seen in the Midwest, namely Chicago where I live, makes you wonder. Or it's just a massive coincidence. Dragon's Lair 3D Return to the Lair. This is, again, it's kind of like Dreamfall and Beatdown is in that I've seen it, but very rarely, and when I do, it's either expensive or in terrible shape. So in this case, good price, good condition, picked it up. And finally got Galleon, which is a game by Atlas, and I basically picked it up on that alone because I know Atlas has a pretty good reputation, so really, it was a good price, so I picked it up. Now, I also picked up a single Wii U game. Now, I picked it up not for the game itself, which is not anything special, but there was a reason I got it. It's Spongebob Squarepants Plankton's Robotic Revenge. Not a game I really care all that much about, to be brutally honest, but the reason I picked it up is that I'm kind of going after a full Wii U set. I'm sure at some point I'll just admit to myself that that's the plan, because I already have a bunch of them. I think that Wii U stuff is going to be like Dreamcast or Saturn stuff in a few years, where eventually more people kind of realize, hey, this console's actually pretty good. It's got a relatively small library, so it shouldn't be that hard to track them all down. And a lot of the games are awesome. Now, this probably is a huge exception to that. But my point is, I think that a lot of people are going to go after Wii U stuff, and therefore I decided I wanted to do it as well. I went around to a bunch of stores like Best Buy and Target, and I just checked out their clearance sections and grabbed what I could. This was simply a game I never found. Usually it goes online for like 30 bucks brand new, sometimes 20 used. They had it for 10, which is still more than I would have wanted to pay, but whatever. I don't have to worry about it anymore. I don't think I was ever going to get it cheaper. So yeah, that's just my little advice to you guys. Right now, original Xbox stuff, super cheap. Might eventually become more valuable if the Xbox One gets backwards compatibility. We don't know, that's hard to say. But I really do think Wii U stuff is going to be much harder to get. I mean, look at it now. It's relevant. And if you go into any store, the selection's like that big. I just think that it's destined for that Dreamcast, Saturn type of fate, where eventually you're lucky if you can find anything other than a sports game. But in the case of the Wii U, there's only 3 sports games. I'm actually missing some of them too, which is amazing. So, it's whatever. Point is, got that game. And the last one I got is a little bit of an inside joke that comes from my girlfriend. A while back, we were game hunting, and she saw this game that she wanted, but then she couldn't remember if she actually had it or not, and she ended up passing on it. It was boxed, it was complete, it was a good price and everything, but since she thought she might have it, she said, wouldn't be smart. So she didn't get it. And she then later realized she didn't have it, and she was since looking for it. Everywhere we went, we either found it loose for, you know, relatively expensive, which she didn't want just a loose cartridge, or if we found it complete, it was very, very expensive. And so we just never really got around to it. And then I was at this store, and I was going through those Genesis bins you saw, and they had it boxed, complete, and in good shape. I figured it had to be expensive, so I took a photo of it just to be like, look what they have. And then after I took the photo, I turned it around, and I was like, holy shit, I'm gonna pick this up. Marsupilami for the Sega Genesis, it was 10 bucks. Now that might sound like a lot for a Genesis game, maybe. It's not. The loose cartridge of this, I've personally seen it sell for like 20. Boxed, I've seen it for like 50, 60. Some sites claim 100, which is ridiculous. You should never even entertain that thought. But yeah, for 10 bucks, box complete, especially one of those paper cases that came out towards the end, ones that actually tell you on the box to recycle the box. Why you would do that is beyond me. Hold on to the damn box. But yeah, to get it complete like that for only 10 bucks. But I know in Europe this game is a little bit more common, so don't take that into account. This is North American prices, I guess I'm referring to here. So that's it for the pickups. Now there's one last thing I want to say about Game Gurus, because it was a really cool store, but one thing it did that was amazing was that, alright, when I go to other countries, right, it doesn't matter what country it is, any country that isn't the United States of America, whether it's Canada, the UK, Portugal, Germany, Austria, Poland, whatever it is, anytime I go there and I find a game store and I'm like, hey, can I film a video here? Every single time they say, yeah, go right ahead. The most, you know, gruff they'll ever give you is if they say, like, just please don't film my face in it. Some of them will be like, yeah, I just don't want to be seen in it, so let me hop out for a second while you film your video. They don't know me at all, and they still just, sure, go ahead, and they walk out the door and they let you film your video. Not in the US. In the US, in my country, every fucking time I go to a game store, every single time, and I ask if I can film, every time it's exactly the same thing. It's, why? What's your motivation? You know, what are you doing this for? Is this an expose? Are you trying to make us look bad? Do you have insurance? I actually got asked if I had insurance for this once. Every time I have to present like a business card and show them my website, and I have to show them my YouTube channel and be like, I'm just trying to make a video about your store so people know to check you out if they're ever in the area. That's it. That's all I'm trying to do. And every single time, I've never been denied permission. Let's not get it twisted. Every single one of these places has ultimately been cool enough to let me do it. Some more extreme than others, but they always let me do it. Game Gurus was the first time ever in the United States that I have ever asked a game store owner, can I film in this store? And he immediately just said, yeah, go right ahead. Never happened before, ever. So thank you to Game Gurus for not making me go through that rigmarole. Because I understand people don't want to like have shit happen to their store, I get it, but it's just weird because every other country doesn't do that. That is my personal experience, every single time. But in the US, every single time it's, why? What are you gonna do? I don't know, it's just funny. So thank you, Game Gurus, and thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all later.